All right, so let's talk about MLA formatting. I know you guys had to take that quiz, and some of you are stressing a little bit, but let's go over it to make sure we all have a solid basis of understanding of MLA formatting and its practical uses for our class. All right, so I'm going to go through the questions with you here, and we are going to talk about them, okay? Just a little bit, just to kind of give you the briefest of understandings, but make sure that you go back to the MLA handbook and you see, kind of the expectation, written in there, okay? So let's get right down to it. This order might be different than the order that you saw it in, but that's okay. Okay, so let's just go through. We've got, if the source has more than 2 authors and no page numbers, which of the following is the correct parenthetical citation? Okay, so if there are 2 authors, right, you got to include both names. If there are more than 2, we do this fun thing where we basically just add on and others, okay? But we don't do it in a way that's like in English. We use Latin, okay? So et al. Is a shortened version of et alia, which means and others in Latin. So if you've got more than 2 authors, because it would take forever to write them out, you just write the first author, so the first one that appears on your works cited citation, et al. So if you had John Smith, Tom Jones, and Jane Smith, right? Instead of saying Smith, Jones, and Smith, then you would say Smith et al. And your reader would know, okay, I'm looking for Smith on my works cited citation, okay? So if there's no page numbers, you don't need anything. You just need page numbers if they exist, okay? You can get a little bit more specific and include chapter or section numbers if those exist. But if you're using like a standard web page, yeah, then just Smith et al., no page numbers because they don't exist, all right? Nice and simple. Question 2. The end punctuation mark of a sentence is inserted before the parenthetical citation. This is false. It is inserted after because your parenthetical citation, also known as an in-text citation, needs to be in the same sentence as the information it's sharing, okay? Otherwise, you have it kind of floating in the next sentence, or if you have a period before and after, it's on its own little island, and it's not referring to anything. So it needs to be in the same sentence as your quotation or paraphrase, okay? Question 3. The page number used in the parenthetical citation needs to be an original page number and not a printer-generated one. Okay, what does that mean exactly? An original page number is one that's printed on the document. A printer-generated one is like if you go to print out a web page, it's going to arbitrarily make cuts so that it can print out all the information on the pages in a way that doesn't cut out stuff, right? So you don't want to use a printer-generated one because guess what? That's going to change if you zoom in more or zoom out. Same holds true for like if you're opening like a PDF on a Kindle reader. It's going to appear different. The pages are going to be mushed down because you've got all these controls. No, if it's printed on the document, that's the page number you should use. If there is no page number printed on the document, which happens on occasion, then you're good, okay? If your edition doesn't have page numbers, you don't need it. But if it does, it needs to be printed on the document. Okay, MLA formatting involves the following, okay? So we need 1-inch margins. We need identification, which is also known as a heading. We need a header. We need a title. We need an indentation at the first line of each of your paragraphs. We need a double spacing, and we need font size 12, and it should be Times New Roman. All right, I know that is a lot of stuff, but if you want to see it in writing, all of that information is in the MLA handbook, section 5, okay? So go check out section 5. It'll show you how to format everything, including spacing, including everything, with screenshots to help you follow along, okay? Question 5. For a source with an author whose last name is Wordsworth and first name is William, choose the correct parenthetical citation in MLA. Cool. All right, let's do this. So it's going to be the author's last name and the page number. Okay, that's what we're looking for as our signal here. And ultimately, Wordsworth 127 contains both of those. Now, there's a few little trickster ones thrown in here that have a comma between the author's last name and the page number. No, throw it out. There are very rare instances in which you'll need to use a comma in a parenthetical citation, but you most likely won't need to do that in our class. They're very specific, and we probably won't run into that issue. If you do, I will notify you. If not, no comma. Okay? Author last name, page number, no comma in between. Also, author last name, PG, right? We got to let people know if there is a page. No, we don't. And the reason for that is the number is defaulted at page. Okay? If your reader sees an author's last name and a page number, they know that we're looking at page. Okay, that's important. Anything else is going to be clarified in the parenthetical. So if you're using section, it'll be SEC, right? That's what denotes section. If you're using chapter, it's CH, right? But for the most part, right, those were the things I mentioned earlier. Like on occasion, you might have to. But again, rare instances, I'll let you know. Okay, it's just going to be author's last name, page number in your parenthetical citation. Question 6. The purpose of a parenthetical citation is to acknowledge the works of others in the text and to use it to find more information about the source in the works cited entry. Yes, that is true. Okay? The parenthetical citation points your reader to the works cited citation and to the location in that citation that your reader can find the information, right? The page number. Okay? So, all they need to do is now look at the works cited citation. The works cited citation is going to do the work of showing your reader how to find the source. Okay? And then you've got that page number from the parenthetical citation that narrows it down once they get it. Okay? A parenthetical citation is required after quotes and paraphrases is question 7. Yes, it is absolutely true. Anytime you reference specific material from a source, whether it's in quotation or in paraphrase, it needs to include a parenthetical citation. Your reader needs to see that it's not your idea, that these aren't your words. They actually come from this person or this article and in this location in that piece. Okay? Super, super, super important. Okay, question 8. If the author is stated in the signal phrase, choose the correct parenthetical citation. This is tricky. So, I'm a little bit different than most because I will actually, in essays, I want you to know technically here, but in essays, if you use the author's last name in your sentence and then also include it in your parenthetical citation, I'm not going to take off points. Okay? It is much more important to me that you recognize the need to reference your sources, and if you need to keep that really consistent, I'm okay with that. But the technical rule, which is present in this particular question, is you don't need the author's name if their name is present in your sentence, in the same sentence as your parenthetical citation. So, for example, the actual legitimate answer is Wordsworth stated that romantic poetry was marked by a, quote, spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, unquote. Parenthetical citation 127. Okay, right, close that off, period. All right, question 9. The date in MLA format should be as follows: 27 January 2022. Okay, that's what it should be, right? We do day, then month, then year. Okay, there is no punctuation anywhere in the date. And keep in mind that the date in your heading or your identification, depending on what you call it, is going to be the deadline date for the assignment. All right, question 10. Double space between paragraphs twice. So to make like an extra big gap between them, why would we want to do that? MLA formatting is boring. It wants everything to look really uniform. All the spacing is super consistent. There's no extra gaps anywhere. Okay? So you do not want to double space twice between paragraphs. Okay, identify the correct heading or identification if that's what you call it. It's going to be your name, your full name, first name and last name, my name, full name, first name and last name, your course, so ENGL1102, and the deadline date for the assignment formatted in day, month, year. Okay. Question 12, the header includes the last name and the page number. So true, right? We need to see your last name, the writer's last name, and the page number, okay? And if you need to remember this, now imagine someone printing out, say you write a 15-page essay, so you print it out, you hand it to someone, it falls on the ground. How are they gonna know what papers are like the ones that were in their hand that they also dropped? Which ones are yours? Which order are your papers in, right? So it had a really practical use before everything went digital, and we still keep to that practical use. Okay, it's helpful to show your readers where you are as you go along. All right, question 13. The title of your paper has to be in font 12 and cannot be bold, colored, highlighted, italicized, or underlined. True. Again, MLA, boring. Everything looks exactly the same. The only time you will use italics or quotation marks in your title if you are referencing a book for italics, like a book title, that would be italicized, or a short story or poem title, that would be in quotation marks. The whole thing does not get put in quotation marks, underlined, italics, bold, none of that. Okay. Let's see here. Question 14. First source, with no author for the article, The Impact of Global Warming in North America. Choose the correct parenthetical citation. All right. So we notice the impact of global warming in North America is in quotation marks because it's an article title, which means it needs to be in quotation marks in your parenthetical citation also. So we look for things that have quotation marks in it. And you know what? There is actually only one. So we do need to cite it just as we see it, right? Open parentheses, quotation mark, the impact of global warming in North America, close quotation mark, close parentheses, right? That is your parenthetical citation. You can abbreviate the title if you want, but that is not something that I require you to do. Okay, if two authors have the same last name, oh, we're getting tricky. Choose the answer with the correct parenthetical citation. All right, so here we go. Okay, we know we need to use the author's first initial, okay, to differentiate, right? Because these are still two different people. They've got different first names. So first initial, last name, right? And if you want to think about it, imagine a works cited citation. Well, what comes after the author's last name? Well, it's their first name. So of course we would use that, right? So we have an example here. The correct one is, although some medical ethicists claim that cloning will lead to designer children, first parenthetical, R. Miller, 12, others note that the advantages for medical research outweigh this consideration. A. Miller, 46, okay, period. Right, and the reason that this is in two different places is because you're referencing two different pieces of information in this particular sentence. So you make an in-text citation or a parenthetical citation after the first piece of information from one source, and then you include a second one after the other source as well, after the information from the other source. Okay, and of course you have to show the page number, and we need to, since their last names are the same, show first initial and last name. All right, so that wraps up our MLA quiz. Hopefully that little review jogs your brain a little bit. Jogs your brain? No one says that. Jogs your memory a little bit. Make sure to review the MLA handbook, especially if you struggled with this particular quiz. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. If you have questions, definitely send me an email. I'll be happy to help. See ya.